Hello and welcome to this second video in my series on working with the ACT matrix. In this second video, we'll go through a case example of using the ACT matrix. So in this example right here, let's call this person Mike that we'll be working with. Mike had a goal of getting a job, and so during the previous session we had talked about breaking down that goal into some action steps, and one of them being to pick up 3 job applications in places that he might apply. So fast forward to present session, and Mike comes in saying that he did not follow through on his action step of picking up the job applications. So I asked this Mike person if he wants to sort out that experience and see what's going on with it. And with his agreement, at this point, using the ACT matrix, we could start in any one of these corners. I like to start on the toward side of things because that's where we're moving anyway, and I want to see what kind of contact he has with his values and the importance of his actions. And so I asked Mike to start out by saying a little bit more about why having a job might be important to him. And so Mike says, well, it's important because he wants money. And okay, so let's start with that. That's something you care about. What's important about making money? What does that do for you? What I'm reaching for here is values. He says that he wants to be able to buy stuff, and it's okay. And so what's so good about being able to buy stuff? I'm still looking for values. He said that he gives him to spend time with his friends. Okay, now we're on to something, right? So friends are important, and freedom is important. So what else is important about having a job? He says, well, that my parents will quit bugging me. And it's okay, so what's up with that? And he says if he has his own money, then he'll be able to make his own decisions. So now we have a value of independence. So we're building more vocabulary around what a job is about. It's not just about a job, it's about friendship, it's about freedom, it's about independence, these abstract qualities that we call values that we were talking about in the first video. So the action step of picking up applications and I asked Mike, so what came up for you when you were about to go out and pick up those applications? And first thing that Mike does is shrug his shoulders. I don't know. I said, okay, that's okay. So I'm still curious what came up for you. He goes, oh, I just didn't want to. And I said, okay, so when that thought came up, I didn't want to, that thought interfere with taking that step towards going to pick up applications? Yeah, it did. So we'll put that here. It's an interfering thought. I don't want to. What else came up for you? I don't know. So what did you do instead? And he's talked about spending the day watching TV and playing video games. And so I asked, and when you were watching TV and playing video games, were you thinking about your job application? And he says, no, not really. And so what was that like? And it turns out that he got a sense of relief by playing video games and watching TV instead of going out to pick up his applications. And so we're getting at the functionality of those behaviors. And so watching TV and video games help to get away from what? the thought, I don't want to, but it seems like there's something more going on that was coming up that, prompted doing these things. And I wanted to get more at that. And so one of the possible routes of taking that is to bring it into present moment. So I asked Mike, so, we could just go right now, get in my truck and we'll go down there and pick up an application. And I would have been willing to do that, If you said yes, we would have just gone ahead and do that. And instead what Mike said was, no, I don't want to do that. And that's so what's going on right now as I ask you that question. He says, yeah, I just don't want to. And I inquired about, what's that actually feel like in your body when you say that? No, I don't want to. He says, feels kind of queasy. I said, okay, now we're getting in touch with, how do you spell queasy? Queasy feeling that comes up when, and I said, is that a familiar feeling to you? He goes, oh yeah, I feel that way when I get anxious. So now we're knowing more about what comes up for Mike when he's thinking about picking up job applications, and it makes sense out of doing these activities that distract from those, help him get away from those things. Procrastination has been a problem for Mike for quite a while. Yeah. So to normalize that, as say, yeah, that makes sense. You got these unwanted thoughts and feelings, and this helps give some relief. Does it fix the problem? Does it make anxiety and go away? Well, yeah, for a little while. Doesn't fix the problem, no. And you might end up feeling even more anxious when that thought comes up about picking up that job application. Yeah, okay, so sometimes you end up even reinforcing the unwanted thoughts and feelings. So then we come to the center here of just noticing and encouraging Mike to just step back from this experience with openness and curiosity and self-compassion. This is not about, self-criticism or trying to talk somebody into something. This is just an inquiry into what's going on. And so then we're sorting things out, And so to come back to this side, so getting a job and taking that step to get a job is about having money, so you have more freedom to spend time with friends and do things, and more independence from your parents. And that's what it's about. And so then to ask this next question with genuine curiosity and openness of, so how important is that to you? And is it more important than getting relief from these feelings? And if so, we're building in some willingness to have these kinds of thoughts and feelings show up in service to moving toward what's important. And another way to reinforce this is to ask Mike, can you think of a time in your life when there was something important to do and you had that queasy feeling at the same time that you were doing that? And Mike says, when I was working on my senior project that I needed to do for graduation, and I had procrastinated on it, but it was super important. And to remember a time when that queasy feeling didn't have to go away in order to do the valued activity. So, and that there was a sense of satisfaction that went along with that. So we're building more into the toward direction here. And entering into this conversation in a real kind of open way, that I'm not trying to talk Mike into doing something. I want this to be on his terms, his choice, his decisions, his values, because this matrix things can be used manipulatively. And there's a power dynamic here. I'm an older person that Mike might look up to in a certain way, and So to really be careful that this is just about sorting things out and bringing the pattern to awareness for Mike to make choices from. Okay, so from there, Mike states that he's willing to have these kinds of thoughts and feelings show up while he's going to pick up an application. It also will normalize the experience of when it comes up, that he's not going to be taken by surprise by having these queasy, anxious feelings come up when he's about to do this activity. He also has a connection with a memory of dealing with this successfully prior in his life, more in touch with his values. So then, to revisit the action step. So what's your action step going to be for this week? Maybe one application to pick up? So to make it something really doable here, which one? Which one would be the easiest one to pick up? Okay, that particular grocery store in that particular part of town, that's easy. Okay, you can walk there. Great. So, to revisit an action step with the reinforcement that we've built into it, normalizing the experience and bringing to consciousness the utility of the avoidance and control behaviors. So there's going to be more awareness possibly coming up when the urge to sit down and play a video game comes up. There's maybe a little more awareness like, oh, what that's about. Okay. And to balance out the time that's devoted to, okay, can you take a half hour to do this and still have time to play video games? Okay. So that's a run-through of the of one use of the ACT matrix, and you can maybe imagine that regardless of what the contents are of the distressing thoughts and feelings, whether it's anxiety or depression or obsessions or addictive urges, that the patterns play out across these various difficulties that people have. The avoidance and control behaviors can vary, but the functionality of it holds in this pattern, and that if this pattern is interfering with moving towards, we can step back with openness and curiosity and compassion. So I hope that's useful as a run-through on the use of the ACT matrix. It's one way of running through it. In the third video, we'll spend some time looking at some of the insights that can emerge from working with the ACT matrix, and also work towards more flexible and creative applications of this in a variety of different cases. So I hope you found this video useful, and you can click on part 3 if you're wanting to get more out of this. You can also revisit part 1 if you want to get more of the background to the ACT matrix and how it works. Thanks for your attention.